Why did trauma become stuck in the body? Why does the body become traumatized? Wasn't it supposed to be designed to handle stress and strain? These are all really great questions. Hi, and welcome to today's topic, the traumatized body and why trauma becomes stuck in the body. And this is a great question. I'm really looking forward to this topic here with you guys. But just quickly, for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Evette Rose, and I'll be hosting this video with you today. And also, I'm best and well known for having written this big book called Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical elements and the psychosomatic stress of that for adults. And I also have a really fun intuitive body workshop that's also connected with this book. You can use the book with it, or you can do the workshop without the book. But ultimately, you're going to be learning how to read the body like a book. And you're going to learn and understand how do psychosomatic messages work in the body, how to do remote viewings, how to do intuitive readings, how to heal and open up your intuition and find your own intuitive style. And we'll be diving much deeper there also in terms of how does the body work, why does it become traumatized, and why does it not reset itself like it normally should. Because this book explores emotions and stress and also their connections to various elements in psychological stress and trauma. And this has a ripple effect on our lives. So, an example, let's start with nature, because nature never lies. So when we observe nature and animals, we can see also how they process stress, how they shake off near-death experiences, maybe caused by predators or by threats in their lives. As an example, when you look like even my background, I'm from South Africa and I've watched a lot of beautiful safaris, and I love David Attenborough as well. He's one of my favorite nature representatives, known also for his very beautiful soothing voice. Now, watching his documentaries, you can actually witness a springbok just escaping a lion attack. And then after the danger passes, this springbok, it stands still and it just shakes for a few minutes, maybe a minute or two, before it starts eating grass again, almost like nothing had happened. Now, this serves as a very powerful example of how the body, particularly also the animal body in this case, completes a trauma cycle. You see, the body seizes the opportunity to self-regulate itself, releasing the excess cortisol and stress. And also now, most importantly, recognizing that the stress has passed, and also because the animal found its place of safety again, which means it was able to overcome the trauma. It had the perfect environment and setup to be able to regulate. Now, of course, this buck still remembers that lions are dangerous, but it can relax now and return back to a rest and digest. Now, this observation motivated me so much to dive deeper into my research and the work that I've also been doing. And I found also many other psychologists and wonderful researchers who also discusses how animals complete trauma cycles. But now, if animals can do it, why can't we? That's when I dived even deeper into my research, along with many other people's understanding also of how the body can become stuck in a state of distress or trauma. Because the body tends to maybe, for example, freeze, depending on different coping mechanisms that we have after a traumatic or stressful event, or especially how we react to it. And the most crucial aspect here is also how we overcome the traumatic event. So let me ask you this. How do you deal with stress in your life? Because let's be honest, no one is immune to stressful experiences, whether it's an accident, a heartbreak, the end of a friendship, a stressful job, a relationship could have come to an end. It hurts, and you get pulled into that state of distress. Now, various factors, for example, like our resilience, support, life experiences, and also available resources, emotional available resources in this case, in most cases. But of course, it could also be physical resources that maybe like someone that could have helped you. These aspects play a very important role in whether trauma becomes stuck in the body or whether it's released. You see, these factors actually determine how we cope with stress. Now, society and the interference with our natural cycles also affects our body's ability to naturally complete these cycles and to regulate the nervous system. Consider now here, for example, our coping mechanisms for dealing with stress. Do we take constructive or destructive actions to deal with it? Do we pause to understand why we feel the way that we do? Do you look beyond the surface of your stress? Now, do we trust ourselves? Do we feel safe to explore and express our emotions and maintain awareness at the same time? You see, awareness of a problem is the first step towards resolving it. The other half of it is taking action. Now, overcoming stress, it's very important. I don't have to tell you that. We know what prolonged stress can do. Now, if I were to ask you right now, how do you handle stress in your life? Chances are that it might be something that we all face, but no one is above experiencing trauma or stress, or perhaps dealing with it in a certain negative way. But how we deal with it and how well we recognize why we feel the way that we do, this is what really truly matters. That in turn affects our ability to release stress and to regulate our emotions and our nervous system. Now, in society, we've been conditioned to disrupt the natural cycles that our bodies go through to heal and to regulate itself. Now, this interference actually prevents our bodies from completing these cycles naturally. Let's consider here some examples. Firstly, crying. Crying is a natural release process, but there's a big but here. We have associated it with weaknesses or vulnerability. So when someone cries, we often see them as powerless or someone that should be pitied, and sometimes we even shame them. Now, this negative association can prevent us from fully releasing stress and trauma during a crying cycle. However, if we create a safe place for this process, it can become actually a valuable tool for healing. But now I understand some people might say, well, I cry a lot, but I don't feel better. Now, my question to you would then be, do you feel safe to cry? If the answer is no, then that's the reason why you don't feel better, because the body will only release trauma and stress when it feels safe. And why don't you feel safe crying? What we just talked about it. You have negative associations or trauma associated with crying. And that means we now have trauma associated with a healing cycle, the very thing that we actually need in order for the body to start to regulate itself. You see, so now another example is shaking. Now, this is very similar to animals, and we also have our own response to trauma, but it's slightly a little bit more complex. So when we witness someone in shock or after a traumatic event, they might start to feel cold. Now, this is because the body is trying to induce a shivering response to help the body to discharge excess cortisol and adrenaline. Now, unfortunately, we often actually misunderstand this process, and it may actually inadvertently now disrupt it, hindering the body's natural healing cycle. Now, in emergency situations like an accident, we often see first aid responders, providing blankets or jackets to people that's now in shock, or they maybe give them a tranquilizer to calm them down, thinking that what they need is warmth and comfort. Now, while this is well intended, this action can actually disrupt that person's body's healing process. It's very important to allow a person to actually complete a cycle in their own terms. Now, if you seek physical comfort and initiate the contact, it can be incredibly supportive. However, forcing these actions upon a person can actually lock in a trauma. Because when you force it onto a person, it might not be what they need in that moment. And you are not a useful resource for them in that moment to feel safe again. Whereas if you allow yourself to just be with them and just gently tell them, I am here. Let me know how I can help you. Just even sometimes your presence, just your calm voice can already be a very powerful ally for that person to become resilient in that moment instead of traumatized. Now, Similarly, when someone, for example, hyperventilates due to a panic attack or immediate reaction that they might have that's maybe full of panic, now we might try to stop them from hyperventilating because we're panicking, we're thinking that something's wrong with them. Now, what's really happening here is that we're interrupting the completion of a trauma cycle. Hyperventilation, as stressful as it might feel or look, it actually can be the body's way of saying, I've reached my capacity. And the breathing actually helps the vagus nerve in the amygdala to calm down. It helps the nervous system to reset and to regulate itself. You see, here it's very important to understand that hyperventilation can also be the body's way of coping, and trying to prevent it can actually be counterproductive. Instead, provide a safe and supportive presence and help the person to complete the cycle more effectively. As an example, if you see someone hyperventilating, what's happening is that the body is going to a state of fake hypoxia. So the brain thinks that you can't breathe because you take so many deep breaths and you feel like you can't. And now the best thing to do is to put your shoulders back and to actually look up to the roof. If you look up to the roof right now, like that, and you look up and you open your mouth and breathe, you'll notice that the air just flows. It's impossible for the body or the brain to feel that it cannot breathe. It's a beautiful and safe and fantastic way of helping someone who's having a panic attack or someone who is hyperventilating. And that helps the body and the nervous system gently to reset itself. Now, of course, children can also experience trauma and stress, and it's very important to understand their needs. They might seek comfort or they might actually need space. And here's what's important. It's important to respect their cues. Communicating with them and offering them support in a way that suits their preferences can be highly beneficial to help that child to become resilient instead of traumatized and feeling unsupported, even though you are trying to support them, because the support that we try to give might not necessarily be what they need. So when I don't know what to do, I just sit down on the floor and I open my arms, or I just sit and I just look at my daughter and I say, I'm here if you need me. And within seconds, then she will come and she'll run to me. And that's a moment where I become part of her solution. Rather than me trying to pick her up and force her and hold her or hug her, I allow her to initiate what she needs. Now, of course, with children, if they can't talk, if they can't run it at that point in time, I'm talking about the ages of 2 and up. Anything from 2 and down, of course, we hug, we comfort, we give them what they need, we look at their facial expressions, and we try to adjust our reaction and our way of supporting them until we can feel and sense that they feel comfort. So that's something that I have learned with my kids as well. So just maybe a little bit of a tip there and see if that works for you as well. Now, when we look at these points that I've now mentioned as well, you can see that now to address trauma effectively, we really need to understand and honor the body's natural cycles and responses as well. Our lack of awareness and interference can really, really hinder the body's ability to heal and to release stress. Now, the key is to create a safe space for these processes, whether it's crying, whether it's shaking, or whether it's hyperventilating. Because by doing so, we can actually now better support ourselves and also other people in overcoming trauma and stress. Because if we don't, the trauma can stay stuck. The body stays stuck in a state of distress. It's almost like it's stuck in a timeline. The body remembers, right? So now another point also here is that it can become quite problematic when we look at all of this and how it all starts to add up. Our ancestors, keep in mind, our ancestors needed these stress responses. They needed to be able to run, to have this rush of cortisol, this fight or flight response, right? They really needed that because they sometimes really truly had to fight, and quite often so, for their own lives, whether it was with animals or other tribes. And because what they normally dealt with in their life was very threatening. But now we don't have really these kind of same situations or threats to deal with anymore. We don't have lions lurking around outside our windows. Well, depending where you live, but in most cases, we don't have that, right? So we don't sleep in unprotected houses. We don't have to worry about who's lurking around in the bushes. Is there an elephant going to come out? Or is there a whole group of people going to come and just ambush you unexpectedly? We don't live like that in modern society. But But the stress point now is that our bodies still worry, and it still reacts the same way that our ancestors, for example, would have. Now, this includes the nervous energy. Now, the problem with that is that our instinctive responses are the slowest to change because they are connected to our survival. So the body doesn't easily negotiate on that. So we will look here at the development also of the reptilian mind. So if you look at the back of your head, you'll feel like there's a little knob. And if you touch that knob, it's right below that, right at the back of your head. So, and then also there we have the midbrain, and then of course the brain continues to develop into the hippocampus and the limbic system. And then we have the frontal cortex. Now you can even see the brain's development, that our reptilian brain is wired for survival responses because it's been there first and for the longest of time. So with all of this nervous energy, all this stress is constantly taking place now in our lives, and the body doesn't release it adequately. Now, all that nervous energy becomes stuck until one day it surfaces in our life, because everything in life, in our bodies included, has a threshold. Everything around you has a threshold. Now, what happens is that this threshold, it hits a certain point where it can't handle the stress anymore. And this can now be due to maybe negative emotions. It can be stress. It can be feeling that the body's natural harmonious electrical flow has now been disrupted enough. Emotions, especially negative emotions, have a very dense and negative disruptive vibration. Now, what does that mean? When we energize certain negative emotions, the density of the electrical flow of trauma and stress, that density can disrupt the electrical harmonious flow between our nerves and our neuroreceptors throughout the body, disrupting these messages that's being sent back and forth. Now, certain emotions actually tend to gravitate to specific areas of the body and also organs. Now, that's why, and also how potential pain or discomfort can surface. Now, there's a disruption in the electrical flow of the body, and there's a disruption in communication between the nerves. Now, this is all based on my research as well, which is why I also wrote this big comprehensive book called Metaphysical Anatomy, because emotions are incredibly important to consider when we are unraveling trauma cycles, because if we don't address these emotions, the end result is that we will have emotion upon emotion, negative memories, traumas, and stresses piling up, which can now manifest as something like anxiety. Now, anxiety also occurs when we have several unresolved responses in the body that's triggered, and the body just doesn't find a solution because it couldn't apply a solution in the past trauma. Now, this creates a strong feeling of being unsafe, feeling powerless, and feeling out of control because no solution was found. And the body is returning back to that state of feeling there's no solution. I feel unresourceful. Now, I'm sure that you can relate to that, perhaps maybe in one way or another, if you have ever had a bad episode with anxiety. So keep that in mind. I'd also like to remind you of really a lot of fun courses that we have coming up. Remember, we have the Intuitive Body Workshop coming up, which is all about this big book where you can learn how to read the body like a book. You don't need the book to attend the workshop. There you will learn how to read psychosomatic messages of the body, where certain emotions are stuck, and what does it mean? What do you need to address in your life to help the body to heal or shift the stress? This is so much fun, and you're going to learn how to open up your intuition. You're going to learn how to find your own intuitive reading style, how to do remote viewings, and how to do also intuitive body readings. It's a ton of fun. And remember, all our courses are IPHM and CTAA also accredited. We also have the MAT Level 1 healing course, which is the healing technique behind all this work. So people always ask, what do we do when we have all these answers? Well, MAT Level 1 is a perfect place to start, because there you're going to learn how to heal the trauma and the stress behind your challenges. So now I would love to talk you through a healing meditation. And so when you are ready, I invite you now to lie down, or you can sit up, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And when you are ready, Let's start by taking a nice deep breath. And now, I invite you to just start by focusing on your breath. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, just becoming aware of how your body is moving with you as you're doing that. Invite you to relax your jaw, open your mouth just a little bit, relax your jaw, and as you do, relax your shoulders, and feeling yourself just easing into the surface beneath you. Feel how it's supporting you. And now, I invite you to find yourself now, imagine yourself being in a big open space with a waterfall inside. And stepping underneath that waterfall. Feel the water flowing from your head, down your body, down, 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 out your face. Feel how it's releasing stress and strain, exhaustion, tiredness, maybe anxiety, maybe you have pain. Feel how it's releasing down, 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 out your face. And now, I invite you to observe and think of a challenge that you have right now. Where do you feel something is unresolved in your life? And when you think about it, where in your body do you feel that stress? Where in your body is that stress? Where do you feel your awareness is immediately drawn to? And now, I invite you to hear, feel, see, or sense a big ball of light above your head. And this ball of light is your higher self. It helps you to bring clarity and awareness and answers wherever you bring it. And now, I invite you to drop that ball of light down, 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 down your body, allowing it to come to rest in the area where you felt that stress in your body. And as that ball comes to rest, give yourself a very quick countdown. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. What is the answer? 1, 2, 3, boom. What is the answer? Don't think about it. That's why we count so fast. 1, 2, 3. And whatever you come, whatever it shouts or say, Or maybe you see something, maybe you sense something, or you see a color that's perfect. Acknowledge this message, whatever it is, acknowledge it. Thank you for being here today. And thanking the body also for communicating with us. And you taking the time and the energy to listen right now. And now, imagine the beautiful beam of light flowing through your body, through every single cell in your body, healing and releasing that stuckness, that stress, that block that you felt in your body. That beautiful energy healing light flowing through you, resolving and dissolving that old stress. Resolving and dissolving that old stress. Going, 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 gone. And now, I invite you to ask yourself, what do I need in order for this old challenge from the past to be resolved? What do I need in order for this old challenge from the past to be resolved? Think of that right now. And whatever your answer is, imagine that you have a ball of light in your hands. And that ball of light holds all these solutions that you need. Fill that ball of light with all those solutions. And notice as you do, your hands might start to feel like they're buzzing or tingling. There's a lot happening. Quantum field is responding to you. Fill that bowl up with as many solutions and resources that you need. And now, bring that ball of light and bring it into the body where you felt that old challenge. And feel how it's merging and moving into and flowing through every single cell in your body. Throughout your body, from your head down, your arms, your feet, integrating and merging with you. Bringing that state of solution and resourcefulness throughout your entire body. Very good. And now, I invite you to bring your full focus and awareness to the bottom of your feet. Bring your full focus and awareness to the bottom of your feet. Feeling yourself grounding and feeling balanced. Very good. And just following my voice back into the room, into the here and now. And welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And until next time, bye.
So guys, there you have it. Also remember to subscribe to my channel, stay up to date, and also I have a free MAC membership website where we have so many courses up there. There's meditations, there's workshops, whatever you need, it's there. There's so many wonderful webinar replays as well that you can benefit from and also to observe and to learn from. Guys, also remember that I have written 18 books. 18, 1-8. And one of many among them are Metaphysical Anatomy and Psychosomatics for Children. So this one is the Psychosomatics for adults. This one is the Psychosomatics for kids. So these books are super popular. People love it. If you want to learn more about how your body works, understanding messages behind it, maybe you have that gnawing pain or maybe an ailment that's surfacing and you want to understand what is it that your body is trying to tell you. Guys, these books are going to be absolutely invaluable to you. You can find it at evettebooks.com, where you will also find all my other 18 books. And guys, also remember to keep asking all these great questions. I love to answer your questions at Ask Evette, where we discuss life conundrums and life challenges, and just answer questions perhaps where you feel quite stuck in your life. I would love to share my perspective with this and to help you to resolve perhaps certain pain points that you might be having in your life as well. So guys, remember to stay in touch. There's so many great things that's happening. And also something really awesome is that this book is already also in video format. So imagine 679 medical elements in video format, and with meditations and healing courses, workshops, masterclasses, everything behind that in our platinum membership site. So guys, remember to check that out. There is so many great things happening there. So see you there.